What's up guys? Tyler V at ZZP here. Today we got another install video for you.
Hey guys, Ryan K here at ZZP. Today we're going to be doing a little install video on Tyler's LSJ. We're going to be doing some cams and valve springs, which surprisingly hasn't been done. Reason you might want to do this is it's going to make a little bit more power on the top end. It's going to move that power curve over, depending on where you like it, depending on what cam setup you want to run. Also, we're going to be doing some valve springs too, in case you have some valve spring float. That's going to help with the power curve as well, being able to rev higher and do a little bit better in the power band that you like. All right, let's get going. As you can see here, if you look real close, like here and here, it's been a little tuned and hooned a little bit over the years. Tyler's got some things done to her already. We're gonna take all this off, and then we're gonna do some cams and valve springs. This comes off, this comes off, this comes off, seal comes off. We're gonna do a couple things. I just wanted to just look at her quick. It looks good. Tyler's got her all cleaned up. You can do this to your car. Beautiful. We got ourselves a little 5 mil Allen. Okay. So it's probably gonna be a little bit different. Looks like Tyler's put our dress up kit on it, which you can get at ZZP. You can get it from us. So it's gonna look a little bit different. These are normally gonna be like T30s right along here. These, I believe, are probably gonna be T30s as well. So right now, his with our dress up kit, these are 4 mil, and then this is a 5 mil Allen. So we're just gonna take these covers off quick. Beautiful. So get those bolts out, this cover pops off just like that. All right, we're gonna take this fuel line off here too. Now this is gonna look a little bit different for yours. Normally you'd have kind of a different style fuel fitting, different style fuel line. You'd have a stock one. He's got our AN kit. Yeah. Take her right off there, get that out of the way. Tuck her behind the brake master. Next thing we're gonna do, so we can do this 2 different ways. We can take this whole fuel rail off, which means you gotta take the coolant line off and everything. If you take this nut off, it saves you a lot of time. It's a 10 mil, and then you take this nut off with a crescent wrench or, I don't know, 23, I don't know, something. And if you take that off, it saves you a lot of time, and there's O-rings in there, and it just pops this line right off, and then you don't gotta take off anything else. I'm gonna do it that way, but you have to be really careful. It's got this other side here, and if you put 2 wrenches on it to hold it from, because this is actually just kind of pressed on there, and that will break. And then that's not a good day. Then you gotta get a whole new fuel rail. So we're gonna take this off, we're gonna be real careful. Show you what I do here. Hold on to it. Just like that. Perfect. Take your little 10 mil out. Now this, like I said, there's just O-rings in there. You just pull straight up, give her a little wiggle, just like that. Fuel is gonna come out. Obviously, probably gonna wanna do this when this engine's cold. We don't wanna have no fires or anything crazy like that. That'd be a bad day. And then you probably won't get to your cams and valve springs because your car will be on fire. So this is a cold car. We got all the powers not on. We got the battery disconnected. Should have started with that, but we got the battery disconnected. Everything's disconnected. We're gonna have no fires today. We're gonna take your coil packs loose. Just use a little pick. These connectors pop up, just like that. Ooh, satisfying, yeah. Yeah. Give them a little pull. Yup. 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 That one's a little stuck under there. Yes. Set them right up there with the bolts in them on an angle, so it's not going to fall anywhere. That way, got all my bolts, got everything there. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a PCV line off. Now that's got 10 mil here. That's got one of these kind of crimps style. I'm just gonna use some pliers. Yeah, just like that. Take that off. Use your 10 mil. Yep, that happens all the time. Now I gotta get 13. So this is a 13 mil on the bottom, and it's like a little stud guy. And the top one, we got like some sort of 10 mil locking style nut. Well, those don't play well together. Can we put a 13 mil on that? Now that's the real, oh.
Oh.
Oh. Oh. Yeah, baby. That's the ticket. Look at that. Easy as that. Beautiful. Look at that. Next thing we're gonna do is there's that 13 mil that I was struggling with. We gotta take that off too, because that is a ground wire and that runs your valve cover, and we need that valve cover off. Yeah, right there. Yep. See, there's this little stud, and it doesn't play nice with that 10 mil. Anyways. Two more things here. We got these 13 mils back here. I like to just get this line right out of the way. Obviously we got stuff going on. There's a 13 mil here. And then there's a stud. Oh. Yeah. If you just use your little feel me pliers back there, you can get to that 13 mil and you can feel exactly where it's at right there. Beautiful. And we're out. Okay. Bolt, nut. That's what they look like. We're gonna get that up. Well, hold on now. It's stuck on the stud. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Just gonna tuck that girl right out of the way. All right. Down to the nits and grits. We're gonna take all these 10 mils off here. And valve cover should come right off. You can leave your oil cap on there. That'll be fine. Make sure you got everything off that's obstructing that valve cover to come off. Should be good though. Might have to use a little wobble socket down there to get in there on an angle if you have an impact. Like a this. Yep. Take all these off. Make sure you don't drop it. Yep. Yep. Ooh, see that one almost fell off there. This guy. Ooh, yep. hard to see. Hey, that's why you got the little wobble guy. Okay. Got all these ones. Whoa, look at that one. It came right off there. Yeah, see, these cars are like 20 years old now, so parts just tend to not come off like they're supposed to. These are only held in. They're basically a 10 mil, and then they got like a little metal spacer in there, so it bottoms out on the spacer and not the rubber, so it doesn't squish all the rubber out. Well, after so many years being on there, they tend to kind of just fall apart like that one. It'll go back in there. We'll reuse that one. Nothing wrong with it. Anywho's, we're gonna rip this valve cover off. We'll find that a little later. I warned them. There we go. Okay. So, like I said, be real careful about these guys. Make sure they don't go in your engine. They're kind of hard to just pull off. They kind of have like, I'll pop one off to show you. So it kind of sits in that groove of the rubber. So sometimes they'll just stay on there like that, and sometimes you'll have to yank them off so they don't fall in places that they're not supposed to be. Yeah, there's your valve cover. Beautiful. All right, once you got this old valve cover off, we're gonna take your spark plug loose, specifically on one, but I'm gonna do all of them quick. Break your spark plugs loose. Take your little magnet. So now, this one, and this one, 2, 3, and 4, I like to actually leave screwed in just a little bit, and that is for the main purpose of not dropping a keeper or anything down in your cylinder. So we're gonna do one spark plug at a time whenever we need it. You can see he's got that fancy oil in there. Don't be alarmed by that green. Also, while we're here, since you're right here, best thing to do, check your guides. So you got your long guide here, and then you can see he's got the green one that we now sell on our website. So his guides look great, and then this guide over here is your one that has constant tension on it by the tensioner. And that guide looks recently replaced as well, and I know it has been because this engine has been maintained with new guides, new tensioner. Looks great. But while you're here, if both those guides, you'll be able to see it. If those guides do not look like that and they're broken, you're going to want to do your timing as well while you're in here. Since you're doing valve springs and valve train stuff, you're going to want to do that right now before you do your valve springs and your cams, or at the same time. Either way, because you're going to have everything off anyways. Next thing we're going to do on this is we're actually going to lift the car up, and we're going to get this cylinder number 1 at top dead center. Now there's an easy way to do this. There's actually a mark on the crank, and then there's a mark on the front cover. All you got to do is line them up, make sure this piston is at top dead center, which it's pretty close right now. Use something that's not going to fall apart in the cylinder. But this looks like it's pretty dang close already. And you can see that it's close by the way that it is, basically. This intake mark will be basically at a 45-degree angle, right about here. That intake, obviously intake side, it's gonna sit about right here. And then this exhaust mark right here is gonna sit again at another 45-degree angle, right about around this area. So we're going to turn the crank over, and I'll show you that process, and I'll show you the mark and everything that you can line it up. But we're basically there right now. We just like to do that so we don't got to worry about it. We know it's at top dead center when we take everything apart. That way we don't have to crank it over a million times. these wheels off. Perfect. Now, I have to preface by saying you can do all this without needing a lift. It is a lot easier with a lift. Definitely don't need one. And you don't even technically need to take this wheel off. You can get to this undercover. I just got to take this cover off. And just so I can get to the balancer here. So there's going to be a couple little clips here. You can use a pick, or you can use this tool. Works real good. I think you can find these on like Amazon. They're cheap. I have mine ground down and everything, but and there's one that kind of likes to hide up here. There we go. I believe, yep, okay, so there's usually another one right here that you got to take off as well. His car does not have it. There's also usually one right here that you had to take off. Again, his car does not have it. Then you got to take off all these little 7 mils. 7 mil here, here, and then there's a third one down here. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now what you can do now, depending on if, nope, he's still got his connected. All right, so then there's more 7 mils that we gotta take off. So I'll show you what oh, yep, get rained on by all the dirt. Seven mil, cool. Now this can come out of the way. This is what I was talking about. So it depends if you have, I don't know if you can see that. Put my light up there. It depends if you have this bolted up here or not. He does not. I thought he did. This should just come out kind of. Ugh, there's so much dirt. Just getting rained on. There we go, just like that. So this one's kind of hidden. That's why I got to take all that stuff off. This is like a little 10 mil. Yeah, once you got that off, you can get to the crank here. Okay. So we're gonna line that notch right there on the crank. And then there's a notch, another one, way up here on the front cover. It's right up there. I don't know if you can see it. So we're gonna get this crank and the pistons at top dead center on cylinder 1. So there's that mark on the front cover, and then there's the mark on the balance shaft, or the harmonic balancer. We're gonna use your finger, put it right on the edge of the harmonic balancer, and touching the mark on the front cover, and you'll feel it. Notch on the balancer and the notch on the front cover are lined up. And that piston's at top dead center. All right, so we're gonna double check that it is in fact at top dead center here. So like I said, intake, 45-degree angle there. 45-degree angle on the exhaust. So we got those perfect. Now, I like to double check. Yep, piston's all the way up. Now, before we can even think about taking these cams off, we gotta get these caps off on the end here. So to do that, we gotta take all these lines off. This is your purge valve. Just got one of these quick clips on it. Disconnects. Got a connector down here on your throttle body. That line comes off. This line goes back to your tank. Should just be kind of a, yep, ooh, don't hit that. Get that up out of the way. Unplug your solenoid, unplug your purge solenoid. Take your 13 mil. There's a stud here. Now this should be one bracket. Yep, just like that. We're gonna set this up out of the way. Got your knot. Got a 13 mil here. Take your cam cap off. Got another 13 millimeter nut. See if I can get to it. Get your little bracket out of the way. This is just a cap for the end of your cam, but your other one is your actual cam sensor. Unscrew both your studs here, upper and lower. Both look like this. Okay, I need to find a place to pry. There we go. Just like that. So there's a little plug back here. Just give her a little pull. Disconnect it just like that. Set that off to the side. Now there's another two 13 millimeter studs here and down below. Looks like he's got a ground wire kit. And once you get these two studs cracked loose, you should be able to get them by hand. Yep. And there's two. You should be able to rock this. And pop her off. Oh man, this has been lots of silicone used on that one. Over the years, there we go. Yep, lots of silicone. Whew. When we get to it, I'll show you how to reposition the sensor gasket. Definitely going to replace this gasket. Looks like it's been reused multiple times. Siliconed up. That can create actually a big leak. Now, get all your wires out of the way. What I like to do first, these bolts are kind of the odd ones, so I like to crack these loose. Bolts out of the way. We got some 10 mils here. We're gonna take these two 10 mils loose, and then we're gonna crack the cams loose. So what I like to do here too, mark the position on the chain. So if you're not on a full link here, right here and right here, then your chain is probably out of time. Your engine is. So if you count the full lengths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's 14 full chain lengths in between each of the two cams. And then if you count the halves, it just depends. I mean, I like to go in front of here and then it's 15. But there's 14 full links. Either way, whatever works for you. Because you're gonna have these two sprockets off. You're gonna have them laying off to the side. So, take these two 10 mils out. 10 mil here. 10 mil here. This is just your upper guide. Make sure you want to look over that. This one looks pretty good. Looks like I was recently replaced on his car. Get in here real close here, Mike. 32 with a little wobbly throw. Yep. There is a tensioner way back here. Probably can't see it. I will show you when I get it out. That pushes on this back guide. That's what provides tension to your chain. Take your little 32 on there. Oh yeah. Okay, once you got it cracked loose, should be able to get it out by hand. Okay, there's your tensioner, chain tensioner. Now you're gonna wanna check this as well when you get it out. So, if you haven't done timing in a while, your chain tensioner may look like this, or it may look like an older one. Maybe all rusty, probably a good time to replace it. This pin can sometimes pop off, and this is an OEM GM one, right from AC Delco. These pins, if these pop off, they will go in your engine, and they will fall down to the bottom in the pan. Well, the problem is when that happens, this tensioner, it's like almost like an internal oil leak, and the tensioner's not doing its job at that point. Your engine will start making a little bit of rattling noise. And yeah, always got to make sure that pin's there. Make sure it's there. Easy check. We're going to want to reset this when we get to it, when we put everything back together. My fellers and fellettes is a 24 mil. This, an 18. Use both. Don't just use one. Use both. If you push on that with just one, that's not good. Oh, that's tight. Real tight. Okay. That's what I got my rag for. That's why I got the long girl. And you're gonna want to give her a good. Yeah. Yep. Just like that. Now, if you watch my other 1.4 video, it's gonna be a little bit different. I mean, this part's gonna be the same, but. Ooh. Oh, she's tight. It's gonna be a little bit different. These sprockets actually have a spot where they lock into the cam, which is real nice. That means you don't need an actual cam tool for this job. You just gotta line up the marks. Now, we just made our 2 marks on the chain. Just like that, you got 2 bolts out. This is kind of the scary part, but don't be alarmed. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. We'll double check everything. Pull this cam towards you, just like this. Make sure there's a little slack. Wait for it. Look at that. Cam sprocket just comes right off there. Release your cam. Take your sprocket off. Now, like I said, we got that mark there. We know where to line it up. Right there. Same with this one. Pop this right off. Hold tension on that chain. Just like that. Hold tension on your chain. What I like to do, you take something with a little bit of weight to her. Just a little bit of weight. So it doesn't fall off that crank sprocket and cause a headache. Just a little bit of weight. You're gonna hang that right over the side back here. Look at that, just like that. Chain's out of the way. Just got some weight on it. It's not gonna move off that crank sprocket. Now, take all these 10 mils off. Crack them loose. Start in the middle, work your way out. Just crack them loose by hand. Be patient. Yeah, all the time in the world. Yeah. These are all 10 mils. Now, see how this says 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10? These are all on the bottom. These are all on the intake side, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They got an arrow facing forward in front of your engine. Arrow, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Same with these back ones. These back ones are 1 through 5. Again, arrow facing forwards. 1 through 5 is going to be your exhaust side. Once you get them all cracked loose, you can take your little now these are all cracked loose. Now the reason we do this and we go slow is because the cam itself can actually warp depending on how stiff of springs you have in them, have in your engine. Obviously this has stock springs on it, that's why we're doing it. Probably wouldn't warp if you just cracked them right loose, but be precautious, take measures. It takes 5 more minutes just to be slow and take your time. Now we can take all these caps off, leave the bolts in it. Just like that. Put these over to the side. 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, obviously, as you remember, we have these end caps on. You take this cam, just rock it up just a hair, just like that. Rock it up just a hair. It lifts those caps up off the engine. There we go. That's cap number 1. The reason these are so stubborn is they actually have little studs or little dowels, and they get stuck. They don't like to come out. Just like that. Now, you're not using this as a pry bar. You're just kind of pulling up a little bit just to knock these loose. There's nowhere to really pry on it. They sit flush. So you either got to pry on the end of the cam, which is kind of scary, or use that little method I showed you. It works pretty good, especially since we're replacing cams anyways. It's not too bad of a job. So we got these off. If you're just doing valve springs, just label your cams. Super easy. Then you don't gotta look for markings. Then you don't gotta look for anything. So if you label it too, a fancy little thing here called a paint marker, intake. We got exhaust here. What that does too, if you leave those marks up, since you marked it that way, it tells you exactly where that cam needs to go back in. So that cam's gonna sit there. That cam's gonna sit up because the letter's facing up. Now you don't gotta worry about what cam's your intake, what cam's your exhaust. Now if you're replacing them, it's gonna be a little bit different, but now they come right out. Just like that. Boom. Beautiful. Okay, set these over to the side. Take these rockers right off. Cool. I'm sure there is a valve spring tool online that you can buy for this to do them right on the head. This is just ours, so yours is probably gonna look a bit different. You're also gonna need so when you do like a compression test, you have a little fitting that goes into the head. I'll show you, I'll get it, okay. Got your air that goes over here. You make sure your Schrader valve's out of this. A lot of times if it's a compression gauge, you'll have a Schrader valve in this. Make sure that's out of it. Screw it in cylinder number 1. Hook up some air to it. Air. Like that. Set up your tool. This tool goes like this. It's got 2 10 mil bolts. It's got these little arms here. Well, that's not. Okay. All right. Just like that. Make sure you grab your magnet. Grab your keepers. Like that. Set your keepers off to the side. Now our tool does 2 at a time. Now you're going to want to apply pressure slowly, because sometimes your valves will actually get stuck on the keepers. Look at that. Just like that. Spring number 1, spring number 2. Now we're gonna do all 4 on this side, because that's where you have your air hose, and then you're gonna keep going and keep going. It's the same process all the way down. Same exact process. So we'll show you the first 4, and then we'll probably feed through the rest. Next, you don't have to do seals, but it's a good maintenance item since we're right there anyways. You just use some pliers, take those seals off. Now some of them, I don't think these ones have it. Nope. So some of them have a little hole right there you can grab with a pick. These ones don't. So I just use a little pair of pliers. Just like that. Grab your seals. We're gonna throw some new ones in. We're right here, we got the cams out. And we got the retainers out. Let's show you. So this is what's going back in. These are our 82-pound valve springs, and we got our titanium retainers for the Ecotech. Real nice. It's gonna allow us to rev this thing out, make some more power. Okay, new valve seals. Got the old ones out. I'm gonna put the new ones in. These are pretty easy. Just use your little finger pliers. Put them in there. Yep. Make sure they're fully down. Make sure they're set in there. Now we're going to throw our springs and retainers on. New shiny stuff, always fun to put in the car. Never gonna see it, but you'll feel it. World of difference when you can rev this thing out. Set your springs on there. Now the biggest thing with these is, you stick your retainers on, to not drop them. Because, again, these are titanium, not steel, so no magnet in the whole entire world picks them up. And then you have not fun day. We're gonna do these one at a time. Real easy like. Right like that. And you can do it many other ways. If you have a magnetic screwdriver or whatever for these retainers, that works great. I like to use a little bit, just a little bit of grease. Hold them on there. Works pretty well. Use a screwdriver or anything.
Oop.
I cannot see. Stick them on there.
You don't need to see the audience does.
Fair enough. Go to your next one. Now the reason that I like to use grease is, I have no idea, that's just always the way I've done it. No particular reason. You can use a magnetic screwdriver or whatever. Grease works pretty good though, because magnetic screwdriver, sometimes you can put the keepers on there and then your magnetic screwdriver will pull them right off. Now this is magnetic, but this is some Chinesium brand screwdriver, so the magnetic part does not work anymore. That makes sense. Just be patient. You'll get her eventually. Just make sure you don't drop any keepers down in the holes that are exposed. Because that's not fun. Whoa. Right like that. Let's show that on there. Don't got my flashlight. Never mind. Oh, wait. Do got my flashlight. Look at that. Magical. Release your tool. Just like that. Easy as can be. Got them installed. Now, if you're putting this on like a dry block and your engine's out of the car or it's been sitting for a while and you don't have oil up there, you want to put some grease down, or not some grease, some assembly lube down underneath the springs and underneath the actual seals. Just kind of helps everything stay a little bit lubed. Switch your tool to the opposite side. Again, same process as the other side. Just like that. Use your little magnet. Grab the keepers. Same on both sides. Perfect. Take your springs out. Now I like to lay all these springs, all these seals, lay them out on the counter. So that way when you count, when you get them done, you have 4, 8, 12, 16. You have 16 sets of springs, seals, everything. That way if you lay them all out and you're missing one, you gotta go find it. Grab your old ones with your pliers. They like to be a little slippery. Oh, come on now. nice. There we go. That's why I like the ones with the hole in them. They're real nice to grab with a magnet. Or a pick.
If you're gonna
Make sure they're set all the way down. Press on the outside of the seals. Just like that. Set your new springs in there. Your retainers. Yep. Same process as before. Boom. Got it. Just like that. Boom. A little grease, a little keeper. Helps it hold it on there. Just go slow. Kind of twist that keeper to the backside. Slowly set it in there. Boom. Oh. Just like that. Boom. On to the next one. Cool. So, another reason we're using grease, I feel like everybody's got a little grease at home. Everybody's got a little bit. I just want to show you that anybody can do it. A little motivational. You can do it. I believe in you. Everybody's got a little grease. You might just have like a little red and tacky at home. Maybe got a little red and tacky grease. That'll work. You're just using a little bit. Not greasing up the whole engine with it. And everybody's got a little screwdriver. Maybe you don't got a magnetic tip. Maybe you just got an old Craftsman. That'll do. That'll work. And if you don't, your grandpa, your grandma, your dad, they got some red and tacky. You just go steal it from their garage. Problem solved. Look at that. Record time. Get it done by tomorrow. Perfect. On to the next cylinder. So what I like to do here, take this guy out. Just like that. Perfect. And so you got your spark plug in there. You just take your spark plug out. Move her right on over to the first one so you don't drop anything in there. Just like that. Throw your little air hose in the cylinder number 2 and repeat this process 2 more times. Well, I guess like 4 million more times, but now got all your springs in, you got all your retainers in. We're gonna throw on some gloves right now. You might be asking, Ryan, what do I do? Well, we throw the rockers in, and then we throw the big boy cams in. Can never use too much engine lube. I mean, I'm sure there's a point where you could, but we're just gonna give her a little dab. I mean, you don't need much on this engine because she's already, she was just running not too long ago because we were quick with it. Just give them just a little bit. Yep, just like that. Set these rockers in. Now when you do this, the side with the little round part goes on the side with the little round part. Look at that. Just like that. They fall right in, basically. I like to clean off all this before you throw your cams in. Clean off. Got dirt over here. Got old silicone, old dirt. Get all that out of there. Got our stage 2 exhaust cam right here. Looking on nice. I like to take through a bunch. Yep, right down the center. That's why we got gloves on. So we can just give her a good old whirl here. Yep. Yep, just like that. Perfect, perfect. We're just gonna set her in there for now. Show you how to clock it in a second. Same thing with the intake. Yep, just like that. Just set her on in there, just like that. Now, take these dirty gloves off. What we're gonna do here, before we put cam caps on, before we do anything, one, we're gonna make sure all these rockers are sitting flush, sitting straight up. All these rockers are sitting square and even, none of them are kicked over. We're gonna take our sprocket here, and we're just gonna look at it for a second. Look at the back side, right there. Front side, back side. Okay. Intake, like we said to begin with, it's gonna sit like this on a 45-degree angle. So look at how your sprocket, look how your two teeth are sitting right here. So you can see there's a little bit bigger of a semicircle here, a little bit smaller here. So you can see right here, smaller here. Yep. Smaller here, bigger here. So right now, if we put the sprocket on there, right now, it's going to want to sit like this. Not right. We want that intake over here. So that means this cam needs to turn right about like that. Now we got our intake in there. So now our cam's set in the right place. So this one's good. Now this sprocket, same thing, except you want the exhaust pointing on a 45-degree angle. So now this one, obviously we got a chain in the way, so that's gonna be a little difficult, but it's not too bad. So right now, set your sprocket on there. It'll only go on there one way. So right now, we don't have anything showing. Our exhaust is way down here, which means we're gonna have to turn this cam as well. There we go. So that cam's gonna wanna sit right there. Exhaust pointing that way. Intake, throw this other one on for you. Now these sprockets are interchangeable. That's why they have both intakes and exhausts on the same sprockets. You can put this sprocket over there, that sprocket over there. It just, all you need to watch out for is to make sure that the cam is showing that the intake, when you're on the intake side, is pointing at a 45-degree angle this way. And you want to show the exhaust, when that sprocket's on, pointing at a 45 towards the rear of the car. So they're gonna want to sit like that. So now, you can take your sprockets off. Now that we got the cam set in the right spot, take your sprockets off to the side. Now we can throw the cam caps on and start tightening the cam caps. Like I said, you're gonna wanna start in the center and work your way out in a diagonal pattern. I like to start in the center, go to the outside, and then go to the middle. Just personal preference. It already has a little bit of lube on there. I like to add just a drop more. It doesn't hurt. So the only reason we're even putting lube on here is for the initial startup. The initial startup can be pretty rough on these engines. Usually right away you get oil pressure, but it's just that peace of mind when you're starting it up and you don't have any wear. Just like that. I'll throw your exhaust ones on. Now these end caps you can do at the very end. You don't have to do them yet. There's no pressure on those end caps. They're not on a lobe. Just getting them started here. Just run these down a little bit. Just till they're touching. I don't want even one ugga-dugga. We're just run them down smooth. I'm not putting any pressure on this cam yet. Now, got them all kind of run down to kind of their homes, but that's why I like to do that. Check all your rockers again. Make sure they're all square. Mine all look pretty good. Just tighten them down until they're about hand tight. There we go. You'll be able to feel it stop. I don't like using my big 3/8 here. I just like doing them with a 1/4 inch by hand. You're gonna want to set your big old torque wrench, 89 inch-pounds. 1/4 inch torque wrench or 3/8 will work. Yeah. Center out. I like to go over them twice. Oh yeah, we're good. Looking good on this one. Just going over them quick. That's why my torque looks like it's way over, but okay. That one's good. Go across each one of these. I like to just good old paint marker. Self-assurance. You can look back at it if you get distracted, if you want to go eat some food. Then you know that that side is torqued. Okay. Beautiful. Those are all good. Look at that. One last check. Make sure all of your rockers are square. None of them are tipped over to the side. Looks like we're pretty good. Go over this side. Oh yeah, bud. We're good. Beautiful. All right. Now, next thing I'm gonna do here is we're gonna throw these sprockets on. One thing I would recommend, those the rocker bolts and the sprocket bolts in the front are torque to yield. Recommend replacing those 100%. Those bolts actually will stretch, and that's how they get their torque spec. So we have new ones. Obviously your tensioner's out already. We got new ones. I'll throw those sprockets on. I'll show you what to do there. Give these sprockets a little wipe down. Got new bolts there. Okay. So now you already know it doesn't matter which one of these sprockets go to which one. But now you know that the sprocket's gonna go in like this for the intake, and then over here it's gonna go in like this for the exhaust, more like this or whatever. Now, it's gonna move. It moved a little bit when you tighten them down because it's got pressure on it. So we're gonna take our 24 mil wrench, I'm just gonna set this one in right away without even worrying about, there we go, without even worrying about that chain. That chain, I can get around it. I'm just gonna set it on there. You're gonna take your chain, cut whatever you got holding it back there, putting pressure on it. Don't get that zip tie in the engine. Just keep steady pressure on it. You're gonna work this chain around while holding pressure on it. Just like that. Stick my bolt in. Just gonna do that hand tight for now. Okay. Now, there's a reason that line's not lining up, and I'll show you that in a second. So this cam is actually not in the right spot right now. So let me see if I can show you quick. I'll throw this sprocket, line up my mark here, just like that. We're gonna get this cam, well, we're gonna get this cam set first. So this actually needs to be about, oh, looks like I went one too far. It's like right about there. Just like that. We're gonna hold pressure. It's kind of the tricky part.
Yeah, it might be good to have a buddy for this part.
You actually need to turn this other cam over as well, but we're not gonna worry about that yet. Okay, let up on this cam a little bit. This cam needs to move over, just a hair. Just kind of gotta mess around with it here, so you get it in the right spot. Now we have that tensioner off because normally if that tensioner was on there, it would try to kind of jump on you. This is actually looking pretty promising. Right there. I think that might be it. Yep, that's it. Okay, thread your bolt in. Now it takes a little bit of finagling. It would probably help if you had another 24 millimeter wrench. I've just done this a couple times and I know that that cam has enough tension on it with spring pressure that it'll stay in the right place as long as you get this exhaust one set right away. And you can let up. Once you got those bolts in there, hand tight. Look at that. Intake, line, your mark here, exhaust, your mark here. Now, like I said before, you can sit here and you can count. So if you take, there's an easy way to do it. If you do a straight mark off of this head, that lines up to a pin here. If you count up from here, it should be roughly, I think it's 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. Yep. And then it should be the other way here. So if you count, if you're flat off the top of the head, that lines up here with that pin. So if you count from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. So 6.5 and 6.5 up. So these are even here, these are even here. We're on a full link. You don't want to be in a half link, that means your timing's off, or your chain's in the wrong place down at the crank. But as long as you're 6.5 up from here, and you can count your 14 links, which we know it's 14 links because we have our marks here and we counted them before. So this, obviously the marks aren't gonna change because we made them. Should be good. And then we gotta torque these bolts down. Okay, your 2 sprocket bolts on the end, 63 foot-pounds and 30 degrees. Perfect. Make sure that your sprockets are square. They're not sitting in outside the groove. Again, hold it with your wrench. You don't want your engine to skip time. There's your 63 on that one. There's your 63 on that one. All right. Now we're gonna do 30 degrees. All right, 30 degrees here. Right there. You're gonna do your next one. There we go. Beautiful. Give her a good old mark again. Torqued to spec. Now we're actually gonna put our upper guide in here, our upper chain guide. Now those are just 89 inch-pounds, just like the rest of everything here. Okay, mark those as well. Good old mark. Give them a good old mark. Look at that. Now you can just sit here and admire that everything's torqued to spec right now. Next thing I'm gonna do though, is we're gonna put that tensioner in. But first we have to deactivate it, which is probably one of the worst parts of doing this. I would recommend just buying a new one anyways. If your engine hasn't been apart in a long time, a new tensioner is a good idea regardless. The reason we do this, because right now you took this tensioner out and it's fully extended. So if you just put this tensioner back in, it can only go so far. It locks. And these have like a twist lock feature. So every time that this tensioner comes out, it locks so it can't go back a certain amount. So it can go back a little bit, but it locks right there. So we either have to push this together, twist, and it'll find like a locked position, or take this little clip out here. See if I can get it first try. Perfect. So like that. Just that easy. Now, when you spend 4 hours trying to get this out, it was probably worth just getting another one, but I'll show you what I mean, the reference here. So this has oil in it. This works off of oil pressure. This actually has a locking position that it's supposed to be in. So this, if you take this, you turn it, and you keep turning it, It looked like magic, but it's not. I'll show you how to do that again. So if I unlock it. So you gotta push in and twist and twist and twist and twist and twist. See how these little notches? And then it'll actually lock in that very end there. So if you just do this, then it locks. So then this plunger, stick right back in there. Once you got your plunger in there, now don't press on this because it will push out. It's got a spring in there, obviously. There we go. There you go. Now, stick your clip back in it. There we go. I like to push all the way around this outside. Make sure it's set in the groove. It's good all the way around. Look at that. So now, this plunger, so now this isn't doing anything. It has no spring pressure right now. So we're going to throw this back in the back side of the block. Take your 32 mil socket with your little wobbly socket. Yep, just like we had before. And just tighten her down. Get her in hand tight and then tighten her down the rest of the way. I like to make sure she's good and tight. I like to give her some oomph to her. I don't know, just not hand tight, but give her some good pressure on her. Make sure she's really tight. So right now that tensioner is deactivated down there. So right now you have no spring tension on your chain, on anything. So what I like to do, come down here by the chain and just tap it once. There we go. So now that's, after doing that, after just tapping it quick, with the palm of your hand, put a screwdriver down there on the metal, not the plastic, and just literally pop it. And that'll activate that, that'll reset that pin to where it's pushed out, but it's not all the way out like you took it out. It's activated, the tensioner's activated. Now that tensioner will, like when you get a new one, that tensioner will activate it on its own. But under the off chance that it does get stuck, I like to activate it. We're there, so might as well do it right off the get-go, and then you don't gotta worry about it. Because it takes a couple seconds, you gotta rev the car up, and then you can hear it physically. There'll be a little bit of chain noise, and then it'll kind of click in. You don't hear the click, but the engine will get quieter. Yeah. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add some anaerobic sealant on the backside of these caps. So this is only gonna seal, the reason we like using this, and it comes from factory, is it's only gonna seal with no air. So as soon as this cap's on, all the rest of the sealant will be wet still, and that's not gonna screw up our cam or anything. It's not gonna dry on the can itself. It's not gonna hurt anything. Now, I have seen people use regular GM adhesive. If you put a real thin layer on, I've seen people use that. This is just nice because then you don't gotta worry about it. Everything that's touching the atmosphere that's not tightened down is gonna be wet and not dry. Come on now. Now you can get this sealant anywhere. Just look for an anaerobic sealant. So I like to put just a thin layer on there. Like I said, that's what's kind of nice about this stuff is you don't gotta worry about getting too much on there because it acts just like basically just like a lubricant until it's completely sealed off. So like this, even though that's gonna be touching the cam, this stuff's not gonna dry on it. There's enough space in there where air gets through where it doesn't dry. Okay. Just like that, just a thin layer. Nothing wrong with that. You can see this one says exhaust pointing forwards. So this is your exhaust one. Now you got your 2 bolts here. It's gonna be 18 foot-pounds. We're just gonna tap that down. bolts in. Oh, it's a little crooked. Where is that? Okay. And just slowly working it down. Okay. Throw your bolts in. We're gonna go 18 foot-pounds on these. Now you see, once I tightened it up, that sealant will squeeze out. Perfect. Perfect. Now, mark it, do the same for the other one. Same dang thing. The right way to do this is clean all your anaerobic sealant off. Some GM RTV right on these corners. So where the corner, where this cap touches the corner of the head, there's a line there. We're just gonna put a little RTV there. And a little RTV on this corner. You're good.
Kind of have to crowd you.
Yep. Just like that. And we're gonna throw that cap on. Those bolts, I believe, should be 16 foot-pounds. Throw this. It does not matter if it goes up or down. It's the same either way. So, get everything out of the way. And push her in her home. There we go. Come back with the old torquey.
$16.
16. Okay. Now I would mark them, but there's nothing really to mark, so sorry guys. They're studs. Now these sensors from GM, the gaskets seem to leak on them, so I like to put a little RTV on the gasket as well. Like I said, it's hard to find that. It's hard to find a new gasket for these. They're kind of like out of stock and they don't make them anymore. So a lot of times you got to reuse your old one and it sucks, but you gotta RTV it a lot of times. This one's already been RTV'd before. I think we're gonna order one in for his car, but for right now, we'll just throw this one on. I'll show you how to do it. Show you how to time that. You actually got to time it, and that's what a lot of people kind of miss. And it'll throw a code right away, and then you'll be like, whoa, it'll throw a timing code. When your timing's not actually off, it's just a sensor. So there is, if you look at this sensor, there's a mark there, and then there's a mark right there. So the hard part is you have to put this sensor in without it, it's weighted, without it falling. And there's a notch, there's a 6 points, there's 6 points that it sits into. And just like I said, you got to RTV these corners right here and right here, just like you did on this side. And while doing that, you have to make sure that this sensor is in time. So your engine's got to be at top dead center, and your sensor has to go in like this. This mark has to line up with this mark. If it's like this, it'll throw a code.
Turn it.
Yep. If this sensor goes in like this, and you just put it in there, your car will throw a timing code. Gotta make sure your sensor's sitting like that. That line, that mark lines up with this mark, and your engine's at top dead center. Then you'll be good to go. RTV the corners, just like we did last time. Okay. This is the hard part, like I said, because you got to get all the wires out of the way. You got to make sure this is timed correctly. So supposedly it's staying right now, so come on. Just like that.
What size you got there? 13?
13, just like the other one. They're the same exact bolts. Ah. Ah. We're gonna take our little torque wrench down there. Good old 16. Well, come on now. Get on there. Perfect. See if we can get this one down there. Sure can.
Look at that.
Beautiful. Okay. That is timed. This is timed. Make sure that your tensioner is pushed out. Make sure that's actually, make sure you released it and then you reactivated it when you put everything back together. Now we're gonna put the valve cover back on. Do a couple things over here. I can actually put my purge valve. I can put all this back on. All this just sits right on this peg up here. We're gonna plug our sensor back in since we got it timed now. There we go. Clickety click. Okay. Nut on down here. Tighten down your purge valve. Okay. This guy is just gonna get tucked underneath here. Your car's gonna be a little bit different than Tyler's. It's got some test stuff going on. That's good there. This solenoid goes up here. Red one always goes to your purge valve. Red/orange connector. Tight. And get this in now. Okay. Right. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna use this RTV one more time. And you can argue with me all you want. all you want. But I'm gonna party TV right here on the corners. Now, I think it's gonna leak after a while, but you know, I could be wrong. But you know, that's fine. Well, RTV, you never hurt nobody. I like putting it on any corner that's real harsh like that, and you got two different surfaces. I don't know, just peace of mind, maybe. I don't know, probably won't leak. I don't know. I'm just gonna put it there anyways. Okay, make sure it's all set in there good. Now we do have a new gasket on this. You can reuse your old ones, kinda, sorta. I wouldn't recommend it, but not saying I haven't done it before when we were in a pinch on one of our cars. But usually, as long as your gaskets haven't been on there in a super long time, usually you can kind of get by with reusing them. But if you do get a new gasket, that is definitely the best thing. Now you're gonna wanna make sure when you hold it upside down, that gasket's not just gonna fall down, because sometimes it does. Set it on there flat. Make sure there's nothing in the way, like that ground wire. Set her down nice and easy. Now, there we go. And I am stuck on these bolts. So those bolts actually kind of get hung up. I'll show you what I mean here. So one of these bolts is under pressure. There we go, it's this one. That one was holding us up the whole time. Okay. Now run them all down until they're snug. I don't want to hear no ugga-duggas like that. Just run them down until they're all snug. Okay, now 89 inch-pounds. That's what it's gonna be. Just like everything else, pretty much. Any 10mm bolt on this engine is basically 89. We're good. We're good. Okay. Boom, boom, ka-chow. Valve cover on. Now we gotta stick our grounds on. There we go. It's gonna go on the studs back here. And this is gonna go whoop, right there. So we're gonna stick your little 10mm nut. Just like that. Two 13s back there like we did originally. Again, nut, bolt. Okay. Just like that. Okay. just has 2 O-rings. Just like that, just like that. Screw your nut back on. Make sure you tighten it down. Still want to hold the bottom one here. You don't mess up that fitting. Okay. Doesn't need to be ridiculously tight because this actually is loose. It just uses the O-ring. It just holds that in from popping out. Okay. Flop this back over. Probably could have done that to begin with. Definitely could have done that to begin with. Oopsie, just getting it hard on myself. Okay. Take your fuel line, connect it back up. Make sure you get a good old click there. That. Now these just clip in just like you took them off. Push down. Push down. And push down. Now these bolts, these 10 mils here, I like to go just hand tight on them, like not ridiculously tight. They tend to want to strip out. I don't know if it's the casting on the valve cover or just super thin. They tend to want to strip out, so I just go kind of hand tight, barely snug them down. Just like that. So, we got our cam install done. We got springs installed. Only thing left to do is put your covers back on, reconnect your battery, and that's about it. Fire your car up, make sure you get a tune from us. Obviously you have different cams installed. Make sure you get a tune with us, either remote tune or whatever it may be, or bring the car here. Either way, yeah, make sure when you do start it, you don't have any cam codes. If you have cam codes, more than likely it could be that sensor in the rear. Other than that, it's pretty much it. Start up your car, make sure there's no leaks, reconnect your battery, and that's it. Should be ready to rip in no time. Pretty easy, self-explanatory. Takes some time, definitely takes some time. Be patient. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, that's what we're for. Call us, get in touch with Bo. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Ryan Klein, out of here.